start right now with a look at Eagle Pass, Texas, where the state and federal government have been battling for quite some time now over how to best solve the immigration crisis. And a live look at Capitol Hill, where a bipartisan group of lawmakers have been trying for weeks to hammer out a deal that would address the southern border, along with aid for Ukraine and Israel. But tonight, would you look at this headline here from the Hill? Quote, Senate GOP pleads with Trump, Donald Trump, not to kill Ukraine border security deal. The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell now acknowledging that a deal could be tougher than even he thought. Why? Because of Trump's opposition to a potential border deal. Hello to you all. Nice to have you all in. Donald Trump, is he running Congress right now?
I mean, I wouldn't say he's running Congress, but I think the former president recognizes how significant this issue is for the American people. And this is an issue where Democrats, including the president, struggles with. But
he's saying no deal unless we get everything. And even Mitch McConnell, who's like the ultimate Republican insider, is saying, well, maybe I didn't even acknowledge short of how hard this was going to be.
Let me be clear about this. I think there is a significant detachment from the establishment wing of the party versus the base.
Okay.
There's a reason why I believe individuals of the Freedom Caucus have played such a pivotal role in directing policy on the House side. You're now seeing this on the Senate side. Now, we can agree or disagree on what this means in terms of stabilization legislatively, but I think the president is speaking for the base of the Republican Party right now.
Speaker Trump?
You're exactly right. Well, I mean, why not? Because it's a bad deal, and that is the point. You're exactly right, Shermichael. What it does is it gives Biden extra cash to make the border crisis worse. Some estimates, it gives Ukraine unaccountable Ukraine military funding to the tune of $60 billion. The American people don't want that. The American people want something like H.R. 2. They want responsible, accountable Ukrainian military aid, if at all, and responsible Israel aid. And it's a bad deal, so Trump should say no.
Michael's been leaning in for the last minute.
Let's just call this what this is. You guys want to keep immigration on the playbook for this election, and so Trump is spiraling the deal. That's what it is. I mean, in a democracy,
we want a secure border.
In a democracy, Democrats come with their proposal, Republicans come with theirs. We merge them together, and you come to some sort of bipartisan agreement. That's what this is. I mean, Kirsten Sinema is leading this.
This is why people hate Congress.
Yes.
This is why nothing gets done in America. There's always an election less than 2 years away. In 2013, there was a similar immigration deal struck in the Senate. It passed the Senate with broad bipartisan support. Boehner didn't take it up because the Freedom Caucus, I don't know what they're calling themselves then, wanted the issue for the election in November. This is the problem in America. And Donald Trump, look, he wants to make this the issue. The issue is going to be that he scuttled this deal, that he doesn't care about the safety and security of the American people.
That's what Democrats are going to bring up. But
he'd rather put politics before everything else.
Because that's what Democrats are going to bring up, and I'm sure you're going to say not the case. But just within the last 20 minutes or so here, Trump has sent out a statement, and here is what he has said. Quote, we encourage all willing states to deploy their guards, the National Guard, or the guards from their states, to Texas to prevent the entry of illegals and to remove them back across the border. So I asked you if he's running Congress. Is this a shadow presidency right now? Because you've got him clearly trying to influence Republicans in Congress and now Republican governors as well.
I mean, I think this is an effort by the former president to showcase to the American people what he would do if he were to return to the White House. That's what I'm assuming here. With that said, what we saw today were Republican governors across the country, members of the RGA, all releasing very similar statements saying we stand with Texas. So clearly there's consolidation within the party in terms of this issue.
There's consolidation, but it's around Trump. Whatever he says you jump, Republicans jump. This isn't, you're not trying to get to the root issue. You're trying to deal with a political issue right now.
But Michael, can I raise this point? That this is an issue that the president struggles on. That is a fact.
Which is why we have a deal that's a bipartisan deal.
Well, not yet. They're still trying to hammer it out.
For sure. But we have the leg
that every president for the last 35 years has struggled on, Republican and Democrat. And now there's consensus around the deal, just like there was in 2013, by the way, when Obama was president and Biden was working this deal out as president of the Senate.
But why didn't Democrats
and now there's a deal.
They controlled Congress.
Why does that matter?
This is a Republican priority. This is not
So
a
what's the
Democrat.
Democrats'
So it's a
priority?
Republican priority that now they're getting what they want,
so-
and the Democrats need something that's called compromise. It's called checks and balances. How you
so
work things
Democrats
out.
believe in unfettered
Look, I
immigration?
don't know what Republicans believe because the Republican Party platform only says we support Donald Trump.
But what did you guys
right?
believe
Which is
in the
clearly
first-
what's going on
but
right
what
here.
did you guys
cares?
believe in the first 2 years of President Biden's administration? Because you didn't
We
do
believe we need to
anything.
get
Why
the
does that
economy
matter?
back on track.
Okay,
We need
hold
to
on.
get the economy back on
Let
track
me-
because Trump buried this country.
Let me take a-
ruined the economy of this country.
Let me
so
take
we
a
had to bring it
timeout.
back.
Let me take
and
a timeout.
we did. Hallelujah.
Hold on, time out. Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.